Welcome to the Enduro Method podcast. Enduro Method is an online strength and conditioning program built for those who ride by those who ride. We are professional coaches dedicated to building the best and most revolutionary off-the-bike training for dirt bikers around. We are offering a special discount for our podcast listeners. Use discount code EMPodcast22 for 50% off your first month. For more information, head to the description of this podcast where you can find the discount code and a link for more information and to sign up.
All right, and we're live. So joined today by James Flynn. James is a pro hard enduro and Endurocross rider. And for those of you that don't know him, we'll just start out and James, if you want to give a little bit of background about yourself and how you got into riding.
So like you said, I race hard enduro and Endurocross full time, and pretty much just got into riding through my dad. I know, and he got into it from his buddy, and I think I started riding when I was like 10 years old, and then started racing when I was 13. So kind of a little later start than some people, but I think that kind of prevented me from getting burnt out too. So that was nice. But yeah, and then just kind of did some local races and stuff, and then somehow found my way into hard enduro.
What was it about? I mean, like going through going through racing and whatnot, what kind of led you toward the hard enduro route? Like, what did you enjoy most about it?
I think for me, I think that, like other premier off-road series, I feel like a lot of moto racers come up, like a lot of guys with moto backgrounds, and they just super fast. Like I was just kind of at that age, like I was just not able to touch them, and I figured hard enduro is kind of different. Like I felt like the more technical side of things kind of came a little bit more naturally to me, and it was kind of new and it was growing, and I really enjoyed doing it, so I figured I'd kind of go that route and see how things go.
What was the first hard enduro race you did?
I think it was Rev-Limiter in 2018. Yeah, out in Texas.
Nice. So that, because I think in 2018 was Enduro Fest.
Yep, we did that year too.
Yeah, that was the first hard enduro race I had ever done.
Oh, nice.
And you got first in amateur. Right.
I know in 19 I did. 18, I don't even remember. I might have. I know that I did get first in amateur in 19.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of 19, because that makes sense. That might have been my first hard enduro race. Anyways, I just remember I got second. And
nice.
From our trajectories, there's been a big split in growth since then.
Nice. Yeah. No, that was a fun race.
Yeah, it was I'd done very little racing up to that point, but same thing, like just the challenge of the hard enduro was definitely more interesting to me than it's not that the other stuff's not enjoyable or fun, but for whatever reason it seemed a lot more challenging, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a little bit more suffering going on for sure.
Yeah. Like I don't know, just the mindset of, can you get up this thing, or whatever is a little bit more appealing than how fast can you go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like now it's almost turning into, like, it's not even a question of if you're gonna be able to get up it. It's just like how now it's turning into how fast can you get up it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that it's taken me a while to adapt to that, for sure.
Yeah, that, and I think just the skill level, especially you guys, is so high now that building courses that challenges you and is still sustainable for lower level riders to do is very challenging.
Definitely. I know that's one of the biggest challenges for any of the promoters, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. Definitely tricky.
Yeah. So what did you think this year, King of Motos?
I thought it was really good. I I had a ton of fun out there, honestly. I really do like that area. It's pretty similar to, where I live. So but yeah, it was sweet. It wasn't, obviously it wasn't the toughest course in the world or anything like that, but I don't think every race needs to, be the hardest race in the world. I think it made for really good racing with it being a little bit quicker and having some flow to it, and then also there being multiple lines kind of everywhere, especially in the final. I feel like no matter where I was, like there was multiple options of lines to take. So I thought that was super cool. Um, I thought the format was sweet too. I had a lot of fun in that qualifier. The prologue was cool, and then yeah, the final. Um, yeah, I mean 2.5 hours. It's like a good amount of time to be out there. I think it made for some good racing for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was fun. It was nice to be on the bike quite a bit, especially for those that got to travel a good distance. You had
Yeah, yeah,
three
definitely.
races. The first one was pretty short, but Saturday evening or afternoon race, was a good amount, and then on to the longer one on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to say we were like a little under an hour on Saturday, and then Sunday was I think around like the 2.5 hour mark. So yeah, a good amount of time. Obviously not the longest race in the world, but I think it made it good just knowing that like the whole time there was no holding back, like just the whole time it was pushing as hard as you could. There's no like worrying about conserving energy or anything like that.
Right.
Just yeah, just all out the whole time. So
What are your thoughts? I'm curious on this from the Saturday loop that we did to Sundays. Which one did you like more?
hmm. Um Probably Sunday. Yeah, because Saturday there's I mean definitely a lot of single track, which is fine. Single track's fun, totally cool with that. But I think some of the canyons and stuff that they're sending us down on Sunday was a lot of fun. With there being so many line choices, and I love that kind of stuff. I love it. So, and then Saturday too, I think that course had kind of been raced on before, and that was like that whole single trap loop I've done, multiple. I bet you a lot of the guys out there have done it a lot. I mean, it was a pretty established trail, so um, that wasn't like new to me or anything like that. Still a cool course, but yeah, no, Sunday was sweet. A lot of that stuff I had not been on it before, so it was cool to see some new stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the Saturday stuff was just so loose. And if you got off the single track, I mean 6 inches or a foot, you
Yeah,
basically just had to pray and slow down until you got back on.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it was loose out there this weekend. It was very I was surprised when I got out there because I was out there a couple weeks prior and it was wet out. And so the dirt was like perfect, like it couldn't have been any better. And yeah, so going out there last weekend when it was dry, like testing before the race, it was kind of shocking.
Yeah. And then the Sunday, like you said, I mean, there was really almost in any spot, just multiple lines where you could just get creative and go around. So you didn't have to really sit in any bottlenecks or,
Yeah,
how much could you challenge yourself to make a move without screwing up or making it worse?
right. Right. I think there's like one canyon at the beginning that was kind of a little one line, but and it was really only in one specific spot in the camp, but everywhere was pretty much there's at least two lines. So yeah, made for good racing.
Yeah. So what's next for you you're going to Hawaii?
Yep. Yeah, I am. We're getting ready for that right now. Kind of a challenge to prepare for that out here because I know it's gonna be super slippery there. So out in Arizona, there's so much traction out here. So I had to figure out how to train in slippery stuff. I have
Right.
a, I have a couple of ideas, couple plans, but we'll see. Yeah, no, it'll be good. I'm excited for it.
Nice. What logistically, how's that gonna look for you?
I think, well, we're just sending the bike out in the container, probably the bike and box of, spare parts and a gear bag. And then it'll just be my dad and I going out there. We're trying to make the trip, as cost efficient as possible because it's obviously expensive to go out there. So yeah, just we looked into like rentals, things like that. There's not really any rental companies out there, so we're gonna just send a bike.
Send a bike and then get back quickly to get prepared for grinding stone.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, luckily kind of blessed this year with a third bike, so I'll be able to have I'll have a bike ready for grinding stone and then a bike ready for Hawaii, so I don't have to wait for the bike to get back from Hawaii and then have just a couple of days to prep it to get it ready for grinding stone, because that would definitely, it'd be very stressful for sure.
Right. Yeah, it should be interesting going out there and you're riding basically on ice, more or
Yeah,
less, and then coming back to grinding stone, which is more traction than King of Motos.
right, right. Yeah, no, yeah, we'll still be prepping for grinding stone during, the Hawaii preparation, but yeah, it'll definitely be interesting for sure. I'm excited.
Nice. So what's been your, like, again, going back to from, Endurofest, let's say in 19 to now, like all the progress you've made and progression through, like what have been some of the big staples for you that you think has helped you progress?
Man, that's a tough one. Because I feel like my progression's been very like linear. It hasn't just been like one big spike. It's always just kind of slowly gone up. So to like say like, oh, I changed one specific thing and it changed absolutely everything, like it's just not true. I would say that we've just kind of just little bits and pieces here and there, and that's kind of helped. I think everything from riding trials to riding motocross to working on form and technique to doing motos. Obviously gym work. There's the cardio and fitness side of things, which even back then I was doing, one way or another. And then the mental side of things too. I would say, just within like the past year or two, for me to say like what has been my biggest, improvement, I would have to say is probably the mental side of things. I definitely a better rider than I was, a year or two ago, but I would say that, mentally I've probably improved more than anything else. So
What have been some of the specific aspects of the mental game you've been working on? Because I mean, that's one of those things that's so hard, and a lot of, I don't know, I think it's one of those talking points. It's easy to say, oh, get mentally strong or get mentally fit, but how do you go about doing that, right? And then like everybody's so different in how they approach things, or how nerves get before the race or off season, or how do you stay. I don't hate motivation. I
no,
think motivation is very unrepresented, or
right.
not a great representation of discipline or consistency.
Yep.
So how do you go about thinking about that?
So, so for the mental, I feel like there's a lot of people will, either say you can be like positive or negative. I just try to think, I guess, between the two, and just think about like if I'm racing or whatever it may be, or riding, or I'm just thinking about, or I'm doing my best to think about just what I'm doing in that exact moment, form and technique wise, line choice wise, not about, things that have happened in the past or the future, whatever it may be. I'm just trying to think about what I'm doing in that exact moment. If that makes sense, that might not be a great way of explaining it, but
No, I think it is. I mean, staying present, and then you're
yeah,
kind of working with the controllables and not worrying about the stuff that you can't control.
right. That's yeah, exactly. And then I guess leading up to a race, I just in my head I know I I know that I've done everything I can possibly do to be prepared for that, you know, the event that's coming up, and that there's nothing else that I can really do, um, you know, to control anything. So I just, yeah, just take each moment as it comes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've thought a lot about it, and it's always been for me when I've prepared well, the stress or anxiety that I put on myself to perform is alleviated more, just because I know I did everything I could.
Right,
I am where I am. So at the end of the day, like, you can just go out and do your best, right?
right.
And that in and of itself, I think over time builds that mental fitness or mental toughness, because it also builds a pathway to where you show up every day, you put the work in, and you know, if you have a bad day or you don't feel like doing it, you still did the work.
Yep.
And so you can fall back on that when you have those moments of doubt or anything else going forward.
Yeah. All for that. That's pretty much the same boat I'm in. So no, it's huge. It's huge. I've always from when I was first starting racing to now, I've always had people just say, "Oh, you have mental issues. You have mental issues," and you know, tell me I should do this or that or whatever. And I don't know. It's taken me a while to figure it out, but and it's still not perfect, you know, by any means. But you know, there's an awareness there, and we're working on it for sure. So.
Yeah. What about, let's talk trials riding a little bit. How far have you gone down that rabbit hole?
A lot, especially lately. So I started riding trials. Man, it's probably been, I think it's been 4 years now. Um, and I think just like last year, I wasn't doing it super consistent. It was probably like a once a week or once every 2 week kind of thing. And then this year, um, it kind of seemed like it could have been like some potentially like low hanging fruit. And then so started riding trials a lot more. And it, I don't know, the way trials has helped me like for this year, it hasn't really been such as like learning how to do like basic trials moves like splatters or jazz apps or, you know, static zaps or whatever. Like I kind of had all that figured out. It's just as far as like my control on the bike and my efficiency on the bike has kind of skyrocketed. Well, not, I don't want to say it's skyrocketed, but it's definitely improved a lot. I feel like I can get through tough sections or going through canyons like with a lower heart rate and, you know, maintaining the same speed or a higher speed when I'm on the motorbike, you know. Um, but yeah, it definitely helps quite a bit. And I don't that there's no secret there. I think everybody knows that all the top guys out there are super good at riding trials.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've always been curious. So because at some point, right, if you go hyper focus on trials, like trials is its own thing, it's its own competition, right? Right.
Yeah.
It's red and ribbon, all that stuff. So like, and I'm curious for myself as well with, you know, I've started to ride more trials and I enjoy the trials for itself, but I also want to find the point, like, am I getting better at riding trials specifically for like a competition on that, or am I doing everything I can on the trials bike to make it conform or progress in the hard enduro or on the big bike?
No, I hear you. I think yeah, I mean when I go ride trials, I guess the way that I ride trials would be the way that somebody doing a competition, you know, a trials competition would be training for that trials competition. You know, I'm doing sections. I'm looking at, you know, I put a section together and then I do it until I just can clean it. Um, you know, things like that. And I would say even when you're in that trials rider mindset, it still will carry over to a big bike for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've done the other way too, where it's like, you know, you just go out in the woods and ride your trials bike, but I feel like the big benefits do come from that small area, very limited,
Yeah,
you know, distance between obstacles. So everything's control. You got to get up over control, move the front tire, rear tire, get lined up,
definitely.
balance, traction, all that stuff.
Yeah, especially, I mean, if you're just focusing on one section, having that repetition and being able to do the section, mess it up, and then think to yourself, okay, like, what did I do to mess this section up, and what do I need to change in order to go and clean it? and being able to figure that out, you know, change up your form and technique to be successful. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
So
Nice. How did you feel about your performance this year at King of Moto?
I'm happy with how I rode, especially in the second lap. I'm not, you know, I got 8th place. I'm not like stoked about the result by any means. The goal is top 5, but I think with how I was very happy with how I rode in the second lap, and I think I made up several minutes on I came in 10th place to lap 2, and I think I was several minutes behind those guys, and I was able to pretty much put the hammer down and ride as fast as I could, and I was able to catch them. So I'm happy about that. I got a bad start, and as a result of that, kind of a rough first lap, just being stuck behind people, and took me a while to, you know, get on the pace. But yeah, ultimately I'm happy with how I rode. I think that if I can just put it all together, I think, you know, it'll be a successful race season. So
Nice. What were some of the mistakes that you had that you feel like you could clean up or that you want to kind of focus on moving forward?
I don't know. Well, I had a really poor start and still don't know why. I swear I hit my button the same time as everyone else, but I don't know. I guess just a poor start, and then maybe I think I kind of tensed up a little bit, got in my own head, and you know, let quite a bit of guys ahead of me. And yeah, as a result of that, I think I had it being like 20th place. It was
Wow.
rough. Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot, and then because of that, I think I was pushing as hard as I could on the first lap, and then I was just focusing on going fast. I wasn't not even thinking about being smooth or anything like that. I think that caused me to kind of pump up and lose some time. So, but that's on me 100%. I mean, that's, yeah, no excuse for that. That's my fault for sure. So, but yeah.
How'd you feel training up? So we kind of got together about 8 or 9 weeks ago.
Yep.
And you were following some Enduro Method, kind of like an 8-week hard enduro training plan, essentially different a little bit from what we're putting out there, just in the sense that you're pro rider, you fully committed to riding, and adding a bunch in there. But how do you feel that helped prepare you going in?
I think it helped a lot. Honestly, I feel better than ever. But aside from that, like coming into it, just the confidence knowing that, you know, the train that I've been doing and the work that I've been doing has actually had some sort of structure behind it. That helped me a lot, you know, just mentally. But I could feel that, you know, each week we were, you know, leading up to it, we were getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And even just you know, the lap times were improving, you know, definitely felt stronger in the gym. Even just doing like sprints on foot, like doing hill sprints on foot, my time was improving drastically. Um, so I know that, you know, I was getting more and more fit, but we weren't overdoing it. I think, you know, I've done that in years past. I've overdone it. And then when the race comes, I'm like smoked, you know, but I didn't feel like that this time. Like I felt like I was kind of like peaked out during the race or at the race, you know, fitness wise. So yeah, I was stoked about that for sure.
Awesome. What else? What other kind of things were you doing just on the side?
Um, so we were doing the motos like 3-4 days a week. And then obviously I think gym was like 3-4 days a week. And then the days that I was going to the gym, I was also doing trials, because trials is I mean, I guess unless if you're out there for like 8 hours, it's not like a super gnarly, you know, workout or anything. Like, it's relatively low. Um, you know, it's still obviously you're still getting a workout in, but it's not crazy in the heart rate or anything like that. So we're doing that during gym days. And then obviously the hill sprints. I mean, I think anyone that follows me on Instagram sees like the stories where we post the times. Kind of like a fun, friendly thing that we do once a week, but it helps a lot with cardio. I mean, you're pretty much max your heart rate for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were doing that. And going on, just light run, mountain bike rides, things like that. Just other things that weren't like super structured or part of the program, but still helping. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you do you think of, so some I've been toying around with, because like from literature and research purposes, like there's very much difference from doing skill work and conditioning work, and then obviously like strength and gym work. But when you're doing skill work, which is what I would kind of think of as like trials riding, the same as you, like, I'm not saying it's not hard in its own way, but it's not terribly taxing on the aerobic or anaerobic system, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, maybe in the beginning more, but, and if you're a fairly fit individual, but separating that skill session work from like the conditioning or from going out and riding with your buddies, right? Like, because skill work definitely kind of needs its own bucket where you're sessioning something, you're spending the downtime either riding back to the beginning or sitting down and taking a couple minutes before you do it again, to where like you're getting that process and going through and letting your mind kind of do its thing, right? And build
Yeah.
that pattern and build that habit, to where you're not having conversations with people and you're kind of zoned in, almost like a meditative state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where like I think the skill work can be done in conjunction with almost anything for the most part. Again, as long as you're not killing your recovery and you're still able to put your best effort into those intentional interval work and stuff like that, you're ticking those boxes. But then outside of that, it's almost like you can just spend as much time as you want developing that skill, either trials, big bike, or a combination of the two.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're all equally important for sure. I mean, you can be the fittest guy in the world, but if you don't have the skill down, you're not going to be able to go out and, lay it down. And on the other side, if you can be the most skilled rider in the world, or but if you're not in shape, you're not going to be able to sustain that for, you know, all day. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. And I think that's too where like having some um either self-reflection or stepping back and kind of looking, like you said earlier, like lowest hanging fruit, you can make the most progress by focusing on what you're worse at. So if you're super skilled but your fitness sucks, take some time, work your fitness up. Or if your fitness is great and your skill level's down, then hang back on the fitness side and really work on the skill work.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Nutrition, how's that going? What's that look like for you? Just more, not necessarily race day, but just kind of day to day in general.
Um, yeah, I'm not I'm not super huge on like counting macros or anything like that. I just try to eat clean. I don't eat any processed food. Everything I make is, from raw ingredients that I, just get at the grocery store. It's nothing super crazy. Obviously I don't eat like gluten, or try to stay away from dairy too. Very rarely I'll, have something with dairy in it, but yeah, nothing. Yeah, I don't have any crazy secrets or anything like that on the nutrition side of things. The nutrition side of things has always been super frustrating to me because everyone has their own opinions on what works and what doesn't. So I just try to just eat clean and then have like a good variety of things. I just make sure that everything on my plate, is a different color. And yeah, and truthfully, I feel good. So I don't, unless if, someone were to come along and tell me that what I'm doing is super wrong and not right, that I need to change something, maybe I would. But yeah, it's the nutrition thing's tough. Everyone has their own opinions on it.
Yeah, it's
So
almost like a religion, honestly.
yeah, no, I mean, you got people on Instagram saying that you need to eat raw meat, nothing else. And then you got people saying that meat is horrible for you. And then you got people saying that you shouldn't be eating any carbs at all. And I don't know, like it's so nuts. So just try to be in the middle of it all and just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that approach is pretty dang good. Whole foods, minimal processing,
Yeah.
and eat
There's
a good variety.
yeah, I mean I stay away from like seed oils, I'm not, if I only cook with like avocado oil or that's like it's not even that big of a deal, but yeah.
Yeah, it's also one of those things too. I feel like people get so hung up on the last 2% that they don't look at the other 98% that's like the easy part.
Right.
That they're worried about seed oils, and yet they haven't had anything but packaged food for the last month.
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, you should probably avoid seed oils if you can, but you also need to get everything else in order first.
Right.
And that's way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about so like recovery stuff outside of riding, right? You're doing all this volume, all this training. How do you go about making sure that you're able to do this day after day after day? Like nutrition, like you're saying, eat good quality food. What about sleep habits for you?
Definitely 8 hours of sleep every night. That's a must. But pretty much lately it's been basically just going to bed at 9 and waking up at 5. Um, and it's yeah, pretty simple. I sleep's definitely important. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, as long as you're getting 8 hours, it's pretty, pretty basic and straightforward.
Yeah,
So,
no
yeah.
crazy like sauna and ice bath protocol or anything.
I'll do an ice bath like once a week, but I don't really have access to a sauna. Um, but no, I could definitely see a lot of benefits to that for sure.
Yeah, that seems to be one of those things that's super popular right now too.
Yeah, yeah, no, the ice bath thing is yeah, no, it's a cool thing to do right now.
A
Literally.
lot cooler in Arizona than it is in Idaho.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
That. Um, Going into race day, what's your nutrition look like? Do you kind of just same game plan, wake up, eat a solid breakfast, and then going into like race nutrition hydration?
Yeah, I that especially on race day, I do make sure that I'm eating like at least a couple hours before the race, just so all that food has time to digest. And I'm not trying to digest, or my body's not trying to digest the food while I'm also exercising. Um, but yeah, just like a solid breakfast, make sure I got like a good amount of carbohydrates I'm gonna be able to burn throughout the day. And then yeah, just protein, just nothing crazy. So yeah, I know like during the race we'll do um obviously I got like the goo packs, replenishing calories or carbohydrates that I'm losing. But yeah, and then if things are really going south, then we'll do like water with like salt in it. And that seems to help at like the East Coast races. Like if I'm in like a full body cramp, I'll just down some water with salt in it and then I'll be good to go. And I don't know, some might say that's not good, but it seems to work. But I only do it if things are really going south.
Right.
So
Talking about the East Coast races, what was your favorite East Coast race last year?
shoot, probably Tough Like Roar. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it about it that you liked the most?
It was just a fun course, a lot of big rocks, so really cool rock to rock lines. The year before in 21 too, I got heat exhaustion and they had to give me an IV and that race just defeated me. It kicked my ass in 21. So to go back in 22 and get a top 10 result and finish without really any problems, like I was pretty stoked about that. So especially because I was super nervous coming into it, knowing what happened the year before. So, but yeah, I think it was a solid course. All the races last year were pretty good though to me. I don't think they all did such a good job.
What are you thinking with the new format this year at Grinding Stone, going to more of a knockout?
I think it'll be good, especially there. I think it'll make for some really exciting racing. I know that that's kind of what he was trying to do. You know, the 4 hour thing, like last year when Tristan's leading by, 30 minutes or whatever it was, like it kind of becomes like maybe a little bit boring. So I think, with that short, intense final, I think it's gonna make for some really good racing and some really good battles for sure. And it's gonna be tough to stay consistent on all those obstacles. Like hitting Stairway to Heaven, 7 times is gonna be it's gonna be a lot, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Right. Yeah, it should be an exciting season. What race are you looking forward to the most this year?
Um, well, as of right now, kind of Hawaii, just because I've never really traveled, over or never really left like this continent for a race like that, so that's exciting. And I know I'm just interested to see how slippery it is over there and see if it lives up to the hype. I'm sure it will. Um, but yeah, and it's new to me too, that, but yeah, I think as of right now, that one. And then yeah, I think Grinding Stone will be pretty exciting too. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out with the format.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one. I think what James is doing up there with Silver Kings too should be a lot of fun.
That should be a good one. I'm curious to see how see what they got for us this year. I know that last year they were trying to make it. I thought I was gonna, based on like how they were describing it, I thought I was gonna like go out there and die. So I'm interested to see what they have in store for this year. I know that he wants to make it probably as hard as possible. So
Yeah, and with the whole, on such short notice with all the snow up there, they couldn't get much done. Whereas this year,
yeah,
they were working on it all last.
yeah. No, I thought the course was really cool. I really enjoyed the new stuff that they cut in. I thought it was awesome. So I know that, with the time that they have this year, it'll definitely it'll be even better.
Yeah. What are you thinking about that one round on the East? Well, it's 2 rounds in one weekend, right? On the East Coast. Was it Shotgun and what was the other one?
Tough like Roar.
Oh, those two, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Get a lot days.
that'll be interesting. I'm gonna have to do like a 3-day racing simulation leading up to it to make sure we're good to go. But yeah, no, that'll be a tiring weekend. Definitely gonna have to make sure that we're dialed in for that. So might even, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I might have to have you're gonna have to have all the nutrition stuff, all the meals planned and everything dialed because it's gonna be a long weekend for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely one that the attrition rate's gonna add up over the
Yeah,
days.
just fitness in general too.
Yeah. Back to the King of Moto this year, when you were looking at just the time domains, because that race on Sunday, of course, there's a 6-hour time limit, which sounds really long, but then going, okay, how long is this actually going to take? Were you thinking of going into each one of those? Like, obviously the qualifier is super short. That's just basically as fast as you can get around that thing. It was anywhere from 4 to, 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Next one after that, knowing it was a 12-mile one lap and then 12 miles on the second lap, were you thinking like, I'm going to push a little bit harder on this first one and then tomorrow it'll be backed off a little? Or were you kind of looking at it going, this is basically, 95, 98% on both of these?
So for Saturday, I think it was definitely just, going 98% the whole time because I kind of knew it was going to be as a qualifier and, I wasn't expecting anything super crazy because of that. And then for Sunday, that afternoon race, I did not think it was, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I asked around a little bit and no one really had like an idea on, how long it would take us. So that was kind of tough to really know how hard to push. And but after I came in, that first lap, like knowing like, okay, like we're basically just doing the same thing again with like maybe a couple added hard sections. Knowing that, I'm like, okay, well, I know I can push as hard as I can because I knew what to expect. But coming into it, I did not know time-wise really what to expect. So I just rode, I just rode at a pace I felt like I could sustain for, a long period of time. So that's what's tough about these races is sometimes is you just don't know what to expect
Right.
time wise and how difficult it's going to be too. So
Yeah, the difficulty level definitely increases the variability. I mean, like
yeah,
just because if you get to a section and you overexert yourself early enough, and that happens a couple times, you can definitely kind of work yourself into a hole.
definitely, for sure. No, yeah, it wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't anything too crazy as far as difficulty goes. It was good. It was a good balance.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seemed whereas a pretty good line of like challenging but not overly sketchy.
Right.
There wasn't really anything out there that, I mean, obviously you could take a tumble on like death blow on that last section.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been amazing, but it wasn't terrifying.
Yeah. I think that downhill was like the scary the downhill in the first lap was like the scariest part of the race for me.
Yeah, no, there
Yeah.
were a couple spots in there that were.
Yeah, I think I would almost rather do the tough up canyon on the second lap. I'd almost rather do that than that downhill. That I don't think we did that downhill because of that up. I think it bypassed it, but
Yeah, because I remember coming in one, like as we were getting to that last check, I was like, I think that downhill was after this, and sure enough, we went left instead of right, and I was like, oh sweet.
yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know that that downhill was sketchy. But got through it. Didn't my bike didn't tumble, so
Yeah. So we got, I don't know what, 7, 8 weeks till Hawaii, 6, 7.
yeah, I have a countdown on my phone. Let's look here. Yeah, we're like 39 days. So yeah, decent amount of time.
Yeah.
It, yeah.
Um, yeah, looking forward to continue to work with you and getting ready for that round. And then right after that, grinding stone.
Yep.
And it seems like it starts ticking off, yeah, every 2 to 3 weeks after that.
Yep. Yeah, no, it'll definitely it's gonna be a busy season. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good.
How have you, like, what's your in the past years training wise, once you really get in season? Because this race, I mean, it's so early, which is kind of cool because you get to start, well, at least for us, we get to start riding earlier.
Yeah.
But then having that big gap and then into your season, like in the years past, how have you arranged like your off-season training to your in-season training?
The off-season training's definitely well, it's always consisted of, more working out, more like building up to it. And then I think, during seasons just kind of been sustaining, making sure that, the bike skills are on point, making sure that, the fitness is staying where I want it to be, but not trying to like build during season, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I think yeah, nothing crazy there. Just pretty basic.
Right, basically just not getting hurt,
Yeah, not getting hurt. That's a huge one.
right? Not breaking too much on the bikes.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Well, awesome. Yeah, like I said, looking forward to working with you, continuing on, and
Yeah, it's been great.
stoked to see how you can progress and crush this year.
Yeah. No, I appreciate all the help. It really it's been helping a lot. So
Awesome. How can people get a hold of you, follow you, support any of that stuff?
um Instagram, just James Flynn 55. I got a YouTube also, and then there's another YouTube account called Endurotainment that um it's basically my buddy Owen, but I'm on it quite a bit. Pretty much every episode he releases, I'm usually on it. It's usually just us kind of showing the training side of things and other silly stuff like that. So yeah, those three things. I guess I'm on TikTok also, for all the young kids out there that use TikTok. So
Yeah, TikTok.
yeah, TikTok.
I'm too old for TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm almost there.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Well, again, stoked. Yeah, we'll see you at Grinding Stone for sure. And Yeah, looking forward to working
Awesome.
here.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good for sure.
Cool. Well, thanks again. Thanks for coming on, and good luck with the rest of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bet.